Hello, my name's Sue Lewis and I'm running you through this user guide. So this is the second guide. We've got 6 different guides altogether about a particular aspect of the Pathway Planner. So this session is about the pre-guidance session, which is part of the Pathway Planner module, and showing you how students complete the Pathway Planner. So as I said, it's one of 6 sessions. We've already done an overview of Career Pilot and the Pathway Planner, and we're on number 2. So the pre-guidance session is an hour's structured session with students having access to IT, either through their phones, their tablets, or in the classroom. So schools will have done all sorts of interventions to make sure students understand about their option choices, but this particular hour is going to remind them about the different options and make sure they understand them and give them some time to explore the ones they're interested in on Career Pilot, and then right at the end of that session they're going to do the Pathway Planner. So this will enable them to say which pathways they're interested in and do a quiz so they can find out how ready they are for their pathway. And then you can use that data. So the reason we're doing this is because we want to make sure they do know all their options. So we'll have a lot less students who are coming into the Pathway Planner red because they do understand their options. It's also given them time to explore their options in a bit of detail and tag the ones they're particularly interested in on Career Pilot. It gets them ready for doing that Pathway Planner so they feel they understand what we're talking about, and then obviously it helps you then to make the guidance much more focused on their needs because you know what they do and don't know. You might also find through using the Pathway Planner that it just shows up some particular gap in terms of the programme you're offering to students. So for example, in our pilot, one of the schools found the students were often read for gap year in post-18 Pathway Planner, and that was because they hadn't spent enough time in the school showing students about gap years and what they were. So this year they've actually built that into the programme. And we had other examples too, where year 11 students didn't know much about apprenticeships, for example. So it can actually indicate where you could adjust your programme to make sure students are better informed, and that will reduce the number of red students at the Pathway Planner stage. So to help you deliver that session for students, we've got particular resources that will help you take students through that particular process. We've got a presentation for year 11 and a presentation for year 12. Do bear in mind your students will have had to register for Career Pilot, so they're in the system already, so that you can actually put them into the system as Pathway Planner users. You have to assign them to a Pathway Planner group. So before you ever do this presentation, which is the pre-guidance session, you will have had to get your students registered on another occasion so that in the system you can actually then assign them to the Pathway Planner. So assuming you've done that, we're now doing the 1 hour option choice session. So there's a version for year 11 and for year 12 as well, and both of them show our video, which is an animated video showing students what they can do to become career ready, and that is by knowing themselves, doing stuff to build their CV or their skills, knowing all their options in a bit of detail, which is what we're doing through this session, and then using their supporters. And then the session's all about showing them how they can do those things. So I'm just going to give you a quick speed lesson. So imagine, actually should say year 12 there. It's a year 12 presentation. We're going to start off by a fun careers activity about values, which ones are most important. Then we're going to take them through their options, show them the point of decision they're making at the moment, going from level 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. And then take them through the different options with key bits of information about apprenticeships or about gap years or whatever it might be. After they've had a little introduction, the option choices, they're going to have some time on Career Pilot, and we will direct them to do particular things that are going to help them understand more about the option choices available to them. So that'll take them about 20 minutes. Then we'll just explain about the Pathway Planner so they understand that it's now a chance to think about the pathways they're interested in. Everything's changeable later, but then actually do the Pathway Planner so we can find out how ready they are, and they can find that out too, but also we can then give them support to meet their particular needs. So the Pathway Planner will be here if you've got it switched on for the students. And then depending on whether they're pre-16 or post-16, they'll have particular pathways they can choose. They have to answer all pathways, so they have to say definite, considering or not doing. Then for each one they're definite or considering, they need to do the guidance quiz. And the quiz will ask them about that particular pathway how ready are they for that pathway. So they can say yes, think so, no to each of these responses. And some of these are red flag things, and we know that if they say no to these, they will need some support, otherwise they're not going to be able to make an informed decision. They don't see the scoring, but what they get is a red, amber, green score for how ready they are for the pathways. So this student is definitely about doing university, but obviously has some gaps in their understanding because they're coming out as amber. So this student is going to get the amber guidance. Everybody's going to get guidance, but it will be at different levels according to need. So green students will get 20-minute check, amber students get 30 minutes, and in our model, red students go 60 minutes, or a student with additional needs, or a student thinking about progression to college or an apprenticeship got an hour because it's quite complicated. Students can also look at a timeline which shows where they were on a particular date and shows the careers interventions they've had. They can, after the first session, which will be set up for them, request other forms of guidance, like e-guidance. They could ask a quick question, or they could self-refer. We have got different versions now of the Pathway Planner. For schools, we have version for year 11 and year 12/year 13. And we also have a FE College version as well. So if you were part of our training, you might already have had a student log in, so you can try these things out. You might have tried just part of the training. I'm just reminding you what you can do if you want to have a little try from a student's side. So you go to careerpal.org.uk, you use the student password you've been given, and this is a student that we've set you up with access to the Pathway Planner. And then you can do the Pathway Planner, sign in first, do the Pathway Planner, indicate which pathways you're interested in, do the guidance quiz, answer the questions, and then you get your green, amber, red results. And you can look at other things to do with your timeline and requesting guidance. So just to show you the timeline, so what you can see here is on a particular day, 28th of November, the student had 2 reds and an amber. But then there was a careers guidance intervention, and at the end of that session they were asked to edit their responses in the Pathway Planner, and you can see they're shifting on, they're moving on in terms of what they're interested in and how ready they are. So that's the idea, is that at the end of every guidance you get them to redo the Pathway Planner just by editing their responses, and they can see their journey, and so can you. So that's the end of this very short video, which is about the pre-guidance session and getting students to complete the Pathway Planner. So the next session will be about how you access the reporting zone, how you can view the results and allocate guidance, and how you can also record a follow-up after guidance, which is a summary of the things the students want to do.